All right. Hi, everybody. Today we are going to review the entire schedule for the Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference. So let's jump right in here. Let me know if you can see the schedule right now because I'm using a slightly different screen sharing option. Just let me know. Hopefully you can see that schedule right now. I'm not going to be able to participate in the chat because the way that I'm sharing the screen, I can't see the chat. But here is the schedule, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down this complete schedule. Hopefully you have already printed it out. If not, you can type in this address here, wildwonder.org, and find the complete schedule. It's really easy to find. Passes are on sale, obviously, and I'll talk a little bit more about pricing and all of that stuff later. But today, the main thing I want to focus on is talking about this entire schedule, talking about the teachers and speakers I have experience with, and those ones that I've never heard of before. I researched them so we can talk about it now. So hopefully you are all ready for that. Let me check the chat here briefly. Okay, good. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to participate in the chat. When I do, you'll just see this crazy like mirror vortex thing, and hopefully the internet will stay on. There's a tropical storm hitting San Diego outside, but let's dive into it. Okay, so the first thing to kick it off is going to be the daily poems and nature journaling challenges that John Muir Laws is going to be doing. So John Muir Laws, obviously super charismatic, even though it's going to be early in the morning for him. These introductions are always a great way to start the day if you're awake at that time. It's just a 10-minute thing to get you sort of warmed up and to give a challenge. And then there will be like a hashtag so that you can share your interpretation of the challenge, and there will even be prizes. Not going to talk about that a ton right now. Then you have 15 minutes, and then the first thing that there's going to be a conversation between John Muir Laws and Beth Pratt, talking about the mountain lion P22. So Beth Pratt has a lot of experience working at national parks. She has the mountain lion P22 tattooed on her arm, and they're going to talk about mountain lions in urban places. So this is a photo, one of the famous trail cam photos of P22, who was a mountain lion living in Los Angeles. So they're going to talk a lot, I think, about the intersect between animals and urban places, and Beth is really well known for that. She has a whole TED Talk about mountain lions in Los Angeles. Then that's going to be the first sort of talk in the morning to get us started. Then very next thing, after that, there will be a 20-minute break. So that's your chance to sort of eat breakfast or whatever, if you're doing all the classes like I am. Then there's going to be a drawing mountain lions class with John Muir Laws. Obviously, he drew the one that's on the cover of the conference this year. That will be a great chance. Full frontal facial view of a mountain lion is not an easy thing to draw. Cats in general are tricky to draw, especially their faces. So that class with him will probably be really good. Maybe you've seen his How to Draw Mountain Lion videos on YouTube before, or in his book. So that should be good. Then there's going to be Pencil Miles and Chill every single day from 11:45 until 12:40. This is probably, if you're doing the live pass for the Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference, this is the most valuable thing, in my opinion, that you won't be able to get afterwards. This is the only interactive part of this conference, like truly interactive. Everything else is just going to be like when the teachers are giving their classes, they can't see you. They don't know how many of you are paying attention, how many of you are falling asleep. They can't listen to your questions except for through the chat, which is highly mediated. There's a major disconnect between the teachers and the presenters and you. But during Pencil Miles and Chill, this is your opportunity to talk with other people as if it were a real in-person conference. So I highly recommend, even though this is during the lunch hour and you might think this is your chance to take a break, I highly recommend not missing Pencil Miles and Chill. It's one of the best parts of the conference, in my opinion. So then you're going to have a 20-minute break. That's where I would squeeze in an actual break. Don't break during Pencil Miles and Chill, in my opinion. because you won't be able to get that in the recorded version. Then next at 1 o'clock is going to be Drawing Birds by Drawing Chickens with Debbie Kaspari. So Debbie is one of my all-time favorite artists. She taught a class at Wild Wonder last year, and she does some amazing drawing of tropical animals, which is what I really, really like. Let's see if I can find one of her sketchbooks that I really like here. This one from 2013 that she did, I think is especially great. So let's look at some of the birds here just to give you an idea of how she draws birds. She is an artist that I have emulated. So last year, I spent multiple hours looking at her drawings and just copying them before her class. Look at that toucan right there. A toucan is not an easy bird to draw. And look at this other bird preening. That is amazing. She has spent a lot of time observing and drawing birds in the wild, and her class is going to be super cool. I think the idea of drawing chickens and thinking of chickens as birds, chickens are going to be accessible to people, more accessible than toucans. So practicing with Debbie Kaspari is going to be great. Her website's called drawingthemotmot.com. I highly recommend perusing her website. Her watercolor and tropical plants are also incredible. She's, like I said, one of my favorite artists for birds and tropical subjects. Her class is going to be one that I definitely am not going to miss. Then, keeping up the bird theme is going to be with Jean McKay. So Jean McKay taught last year. You'll probably recognize her style as soon as you see it. This is her Instagram right here. Doesn't have as many followers as she should. Actually, she has more than me. I should have more too. But whatever. Here, look at this style here. I think there might be a couple other artists that have this type of watercolor style, and her lettering, it almost reminds me of that amazing illustrated book about gnomes. But just look at her watercolor and her style. It's very recognizable, and she's going to be doing a class on drawing bird nests. So I believe that's what the name of the topic is. Bird nests are not an easy thing to draw. It can be just like a crazy tangle of mixed up sticks and stuff like that. So this is a chance to do to zoom in on like a particular like niche topic like that with someone who has a lot of experience. And that is going to be called Bird Nest Basics with Jean McKay. Definitely follow Jean if you like her style. I think a lot of people in the nature journaling community aspire to a style somewhat like hers. Her lettering is great. Her page layout is really great. I think she probably compiles a lot of it in the studio, but a wonderful, wonderful class. And before I go to the next class, let me check over here briefly the chat. Okay, I'm not going to be able to comment too much on the chat because of the way my screen share thing is set up, but I see that Cindy's here, Lynn is here, James is here, Hashi is here, Debbie, Terry, Cindy, lots of people. Hope. Oops, sorry about that. I somehow got disconnected. Maybe it is the hurricane. Sorry about that. Let's see if I can get back in here. Um, okay. Sorry, there was a weird glitch here. Hopefully you can see me now, and let's go back to the schedule. So the next class on Monday from 4:30 to 5:55, all the times are Pacific time, is going to be terrestrial arthropods with Stephanie Dole, aka the Beetle Lady. Stephanie is an amazing friend of mine. I've taken all of her classes that she's done at the Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference, even when it was in person, was really fun. Look at her handling that tarantula. She's an entomologist. She does tons of education work and outreach work with kids, and her class is going to be super fun. I assume she's going to have some cool terrestrial arthropods, and since she didn't say insects, she said arthropods. That means that arachnids will be included probably. So if you want to draw and learn about terrestrial arthropods. That class will be really fun. I love Stephanie's content, and she's probably going to have some live animals. So if you want a chance to sketch some live animals with Stephanie, definitely take that class. Then there's going to be a full 45-minute break for dinner. So you have your chance to actually eat dinner. And then after that is going to be the keynote. So every night, except for the last night, there will be a keynote from 7 p.m. until 8:20. So a little over an hour long talk. Some of them will be conversations too, but the first night is going to be Florence Williams, author of The Nature Fix. So I didn't know about Florence Williams before, but here you can see their website, and this is an exciting book. And I think that it's going to be it's similar to, I think, last year or the year before, they had the author of the nature deficit disorder. So this will help put into perspective the benefits of being in nature and all of the health benefits. There's a short video on Florence's website describing the
people and the world around you. Finnish researchers,
kind of funny little thing there, but you can also see Florence's has a TED Talk. So we've got some pretty heavy hitters for the keynotes. These are some famous people. I think this year probably has some more famous people than ever before. Obviously, Amy Tan's been there for the last few years, but lots of big authors speaking every night. So if you like going to a talk, I highly recommend sketchnoting all the keynotes, because otherwise it's sort of more of a passive engagement with the content. But if you like that inspiring speaker type thing, it should be good. And Florence Williams will be kicking it off. Then from 8:30 to 9:30, everyone will be yawning, and there will be a little bit of a backstage pass social time. I assume that's going to be similar to the Pencil Miles and Chill, but in the evening. So that will probably be a Zoom link every night from 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. That's going to be really late for people in Europe. The timing is going to be really rough. And people on the East Coast, the timings for these afternoon and evening things is going to be rough too. All right, so time for day 2, which is going to be a Thursday, September 14th. So starting again with the poem and challenge. You can find out about that later too, if you don't want to be there that early in the morning. Then the first class is going to be awesome with Alex Boone. So Alex Boone is a professional nature journaler and nature educator in England. He has an amazing style and lots of content on YouTube. He has a Patreon with a bunch of classes. I've interviewed him on the Nature Journal show before. And let's go to his website here. Let me close Florence. Here is Alex Boone's newly updated website. So definitely check it out. He has a lot of stuff for beginners. So this is new, a bunch of new stuff that he has for beginners. He has you can see there his colored pencil work, which he does a lot in sort of the lineage of Edith Holden and some other British nature journalers and nature artists. Beatrix Potter is also an influence on him. He has some really cool journals, and he talks a lot about how to have a journal for the field and then a more aesthetic journal that you work on at home. You can see a lot of botanical work. He does some really great stuff with like rabbits and things too. He has a whole Etsy store where he sells that. Look at these really cool stickers, and this whole Lapine Botanica series he has is really amazing. So if you like his style, that is one of the ways to choose classes that you're going to take at the conference. So his class is going to be seasonal woodland nature journaling. And I highly recommend him in general as a teacher, as a nature journaler. And I think with some of this stuff, if you're trying to decide which classes to take, look at people's style. You can find him on Instagram as well. If Alex Boone's style is something that resonates with you, then definitely check out that class. Next is going to be a class with Kate Ryder. I interviewed her about nature journaling with kids a few months ago. Let me close some of these other windows. Kate Ryder is based in Hawaii, and she is a teacher, but she's also a nature journaler, and she has a bunch of stuff. She runs a nature journaling group over there. She posts a lot on the Nature Journal Club Facebook page. Looks like my internet's going a little bit slowly, but it'll be a good chance to nature journal with her and learn more about her. I don't have that much information about what her class is going to be. World of Whimsy. It doesn't give you that much information, but it's very intriguing. So we will find out more coming soon, I believe, about each of these classes when the whole website for the schedule comes up. So there's going to be a separate website. It's probably going to be through the same website it has been in the past. It's called like shed.com, and you can go there and registered people can go in and learn about each class. Teachers can upload PDFs and stuff like that. So we'll learn more about classes such as Kate Writers, for example, when that goes live. And I don't think that's ready yet. Then there's going to be another Pencil Miles and Chill session. So like I said before, this is probably the part that you won't be able to. This is probably the part that I would not miss. I would not want to miss at the live sessions, because you can't get this in the recording, and it's the only really interactive part of the whole conference. And the first class on Tuesday after Pencil Miles and Chill is going to be with Ivea Moore, who is basically the person who came up with Pencil Miles and Chill in the first place. And they have a weekly gathering that's really awesome. So Stewardship Stories with Ivea is going to be great. Let me close Kate Writers. Here is Ivea's Instagram, and she has a YouTube as well, but she's going to be talking about nature journaling restoration work. I interviewed her about this last year also, but she is one of the main people, or the main person in the world that I know of that is using nature journaling in this applied way. So follow her on Instagram, Ivea Eden. She's awesome, and she's going to be talking about stewardship stories. I think she's probably going to be sharing stories from a lot of other people and the work that they've done in stewardship and restoration. Then after that is going to be a poetry class. So Amy Nezumukumatatil, sorry, mispronounced her name. She does have on her website how to pronounce it, and I looked it up. She is going to be doing a keynote, but she's also going to be doing a class on poetry. So let's check out her. And she's a heavy hitter too. So we've got some more famous people this time. Here is her website right here. And she has several published books about poetry. Let me replay how to pronounce her name.
Amy Nezhukumatatil.
Nezhukumatatil, not that hard actually. Nezhukumatatil, and she has multiple published books, several of them highly awarded about nature. So very exciting to have a poet that's going to be offering not just a keynote, but also a class. So let me close these two here, and that is Naomi Nezhukumatatil, and she's a poet and teacher and author of World of Wonders. So she's going to be giving a class at 2:45 and then also a keynote. But in between those two poetry sessions is going to be a map making class with Roseanne Hansen. And Roseanne is probably one of the nature journal educators and nature journalers who uses maps most consistently in her work. This is from her website. She offers a ton of stuff. She has these boot camps now. She has a community forum, a nature journal academy, all kinds of stuff. And she is going to be teaching a class on maps. So that'll be a great chance. I feel like maps are something underutilized by most nature journalers. So take that class with Roseanne if you like Roseanne's classes in general, or you want to make more maps in your nature journal. Like I said, the keynote is going to be with Amy Nezhukumatatil again, about poetry. I haven't heard her speak before, but it should be pretty exciting. And then there's going to be the backstage pass once again. Let me check over here the live, see how everyone. Oh no, my screen sharing's not working. Is it still? Uh-oh. So can you not see the schedule right now? Please let me know if you can see the schedule right now. Okay, but when I is it, does it stay that way, or does it change when I switch screens? Oh shoot. Dang it. Okay, I thought that when I switched screens, you were still being able to see that. All right, let me figure out how to do this. Dang it. So maybe it needs to be on the same. Um, Dang it, because I've been showing all these people's websites and stuff. Oh, so since I lost the connection somehow. Okay, let's try this again. Hopefully, this one you can now see it. Shoot. Okay, well, we'll just have to miss. Sorry about that. We're gonna miss the last few. I already closed. I mentioned Ivea's, Amy Nezukumatatil, and Roseanne. I think those were the main ones that I mentioned since I lost connection. Um, oh no. Wait, you still can't see it? That's so weird. It says that I'm sharing screen. So you can't see. Can you really not see this now? I don't know what to do with that. Okay, let me try again. Dang it. All right, hold on 1 second. Let me see. Okay, can you see it now? Okay. All right, so let's see. I will go back to Alex Boone. Actually, I don't think I'm gonna be able to go back. It's gonna be really hard to open up. I have all of these tabs open here. Maybe that's part of the problem. All right, I'm just gonna proceed with it. Sorry we missed Alex Boone. You can look up if you Google Alex Boone, you should be able to find him. Alex Boone art. You can also see the previous interview I did with him on the Nature Journal challenge, the Nature Journal show. Then there's Kate Ryder. She's a Hawaiian. She lives in Hawaii and is a nature journaler and educator. Um, she doesn't have that much of a website presence, but I'll post a link to. I interviewed her also recently, and then Ivea's stewardship classes obviously are going to be great. Um, and you can find her on Instagram. I think she's under Ivea Eaton on Instagram. And then Amy Nezukumatatil is a poet, super exciting. And like I said, Roseanne's maps. Oh, here's Roseanne's is still up. Roseanne is one of the people that uses maps the most. Her website is under exploringoverland.com/field arts. She uses maps a lot, so that'll be a great opportunity to practice maps. Not enough people use maps. And then Amy Nezukumatatil is going to be giving the keynote. So that's really exciting. Poetry, I haven't seen her speak before, but I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so let's go on to day 3, which is Friday. So right in the middle of the conference. And the day is going to start off with loose watercolor with Ian DeHogue. Let's go check out his website here. So this will be a good opportunity because it looks like, he has more of that loose watercolor technique. I mean, you can kind of tell by looking at his um, just looking at his work without even reading the title of his class. But for those of you who want to experiment more with this type of, I would say maybe more classic watercolor, where it's direct watercolor, you don't even see any pencil or pen. There's no notes or anything like that. If you want to get practice with this, his class is going to be about painting birds. So you can see here, it's just a painting. There's not a drawing. It's like very different from how I usually depict birds. So if you want to get practice going straight to watercolor on birds. This is going to be pretty different from what most nature journalers do when they're capturing a bird. So a good chance to get some sort of cross training in. He is an artist based in I think he's based in Canada. I want to say, let's see, I haven't taken any classes with him before. I don't think he's taught at um, previous classes. Not that much information about him online, but he's, he's a major artist. He exhibits in all of these different art shows, so he's more on the sort of fine art end, and his focus is in watercolor, and he's going to be teaching a class on birds, and that's going to be the first class on Wednesday. Loose watercolor birds with Ian DeHogue. So good for people who maybe don't use that style normally, or if you want to delve deeper into watercolor, that should be good. Maybe somewhat similar to Catherine Hamilton's class last year in some ways. She also does a lot of birds and direct watercolor. Then next we have Delicate Beauty of Wildflowers in Watercolor with Sushma Hedge. So a lot of watercolor to start the day off. And Sushma is, I think, oops, that's not her. I think she does some urban sketching and outdoor sort of scenes you can see here, as well as a lot of these flower paintings. Let's see if I can find um, look at all these floral decorative elements that she uses. She has a whole book on wildflower watercolors. So I would recommend, wow, hand painted candles. That's crazy. So she has a bunch of stuff on her store. She has this book here. You can kind of get the idea of her style from this. If that is something that appeals to you, then definitely check out the class. I've never done any classes with her before, but it looks cool. And it's another watercolor class for that third day. So after her class is going to be the break, and then Pencil Miles and Chill. Don't miss Pencil Miles and Chill. And then there's a roundtable conversation about capturing extended adventures in our journals. I'm going to participate in that, and Akshay and Gargi are going to be there. I think Billy Joe is going to be there, Roseanne Hansen, and Maria Coriel Martin from Art Toolkit is going to be there, talking about nature journaling adventures. I have no idea what it's going to be like. Each person is going to talk a little bit about nature journaling adventures that they've been on. And then your chance to go on a virtual adventure with Kristen Link after the lunch break. It's going to be 2:45 to 4:10. Virtual field trips can be really fun. It takes a lot of technological setup for the presenter, but if it's done right, it can be really fun and immersive. And we've had these at several of the nature journaling conferences, Wild Wonders, so far. Let me show you Kristen's stuff. She does some amazing watercolor illustrations as well as landscapes, but she's also a science illustrator. So she does some more of these sort of diagram type illustrations. Here you can see some beautiful ones. She's based in Alaska, so she knows a lot about Alaska. I think we've had virtual field trips to Alaska before this one, but not with Kristen Link. I don't think she's taught at the Wild Wonder Conference before, but definitely check her out. She has some really cool stuff. I think she has a really cool Instagram too. So check her out, and that class is going to be probably pretty fun, would be my guess. Then next is going to be a class with Mary Jo Koch, and I think she offered one last year. I'm trying to remember, but it's going to be gouache. What is it? Gouache on tone paper owl feather. So very specific. So some people like taking classes where you do a very, very specific thing, such as paint owl eyes or something like that. Is that the one she offered last year? And this is going to be sort of like that. So if you want practice with gouache, I don't see any of her gouache work right here. I don't think that's gouache. If you want to get, there she is. Wow, that's a super bloom. If you want to practice gouache on tone paper, get your supplies ready, and you could do this owl feather with her class. It's going to be very specific. So usually when a class is very specific like this, you usually, if you follow all the steps, like a good good child, then you will usually have a good result, and people like getting that aesthetic result at the end. So if that sounds up your alley, then check out that class um, with Mary Jo. And then the dinner break. And then that night for the keynote is Ishita Jain. So Ishita is an artist, illustrator, and author. And check out this book that she wrote about New York, nature in New York. So this should be really interesting because she's going to be talking about finding nature in urban places. And I think more and more of the nature journalers in our community are in urban places. Most people in the world live in urban places. So this should be an interesting conversation. The book includes her own sketches and watercolors, which is really cool. That's unusual for most books. And I think that it will be really interesting to hear her speak. I can't remember if she has a TED Talk also, but several of these people who are speaking this year at the conference do have TED Talks, so I wouldn't be surprised. So that will be that. There's a backstage pass that night as well, of course, every night except the last. Go to sleep, save up your energy, and then the next day we have a whole bunch more stuff, starting with the poem, of course, at 8 a.m. The first class, though, is going to be with um, Rosin Cure. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I believe she's Irish though. And she is a sketcher, does a lot of urban sketching stuff, lots of classes. You can see here she has classes in Ireland. She's done classes in other places. She also has a VIP membership. So many of these people have like their Patreons and all kinds of classes and stuff now. So there's so many sketching teachers to choose from. Ooh, it looks like she uses a Fude Demanin pin sometimes. Um, so lots of reviews here. You can see some examples of her sketches. Let's check out her Instagram real quick to see if we can see some more images. Does she have an Instagram? It looks like she does not have an Instagram, but she's on Facebook, which I don't want to go onto Facebook right now, but you can probably see some more of her work somewhere. I kind of wish there was a little bit more examples of her work. Oh, here we go. On her blog. Oh, wow. Look at that sushi. Looks really great there. So, an experienced sketcher. This class should be fun. It's interesting. Her topic seems slightly different from the other stuff that I see on her website, but it's delicate crabs in ink and watercolor. I love sketching crabs. Um, I love sketching crabs, so that should be fun. And trying to just peek over here at the chat without making the screen all crazy. Then after that is going to be a class with Rosalie Hazlett. Rosalie has been on the Nature Journal show multiple times before. She has an amazing book about watercolor. She has a whole bunch of products, stickers, patches, art prints. She has classes on Skillshare. She's based in Appalachia. Look at these amazing maps. I wish she was teaching a map class too. Look at these amazing maps that she does. Love it. And her class is going to be diving deep, plan a passion project. That leaves a lot to the imagination, so hard to know what that is until the shed.com website thing for registering is all set up. And I'm sure she'll put resources on there for people before the class. But for now, we can only sort of imagine. And knowing that she does a lot of watercolor and nature scenes, sort of composite scenes as well, we can guess at what her class is going to be like. She's a great teacher. People love her style. It is in alignment with the style that a lot of people want to emulate. So if you like Rosalie's style and have been following her classes for a while, perfect class for you. Pencil Miles and Chill, don't miss it. And then another virtual field trip. This is cool. And these guys are really high energy. So they're called Let's Botanize. They have like 130,000 followers on Instagram, and they basically go around and talk about different plant stuff. Look, they even talk about the liquid amber cercifolium spike balls. But these guys have a ton of energy. You should check them out on Instagram. Look here, they mentioned that they're going to be teaching at the Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference, and they're going to create a virtual trip to this valley in Panama called the Mamomi Valley. So that should be fun with Ben and Jacob from Let's Botanize. They don't nature journal or sketch as far as I know, but they're really into plants and nature access and nature education. So this will be an interesting chance to try to nature journal or sketch while they're talking about other stuff. I don't know how they're going to organize it. Maybe they'll try to make it intentionally for people to have time to nature journal. But sometimes when you're doing a class with muggles, they might just have a really fast paced thing, and you might have to do sort of more of a sketchnoting technique and just be ready to work quickly, which is what I'm going to plan on doing for that class on Thursday with Let's Botanize, Ben and Jacob. Then after that, we have a class with Rosemary Moscow. She's not giving a keynote this year, I don't think, but she did give one of the keynotes last year. She has amazing work. If you haven't seen it before, it's hilarious, but also beautiful. Look at this toad one she recently did. I'll give you a chance to read that, and I'll drink some water. So you can see she does, I believe she uses digital and traditional media to create her comics. They're really cool. She has a whole book. Oh my gosh, this one had me cracking up so much. Super funny. And last year, there was a ton of teachers and presenters talking about comics. So this year, there's slightly fewer, but she is one of them. Look, she has 50,000. See, she should have as easily as many as those Let's Botanize people, because she's just great. I really wanted to get this mug that she makes. I think that's pretty funny, even though I am a morning person, but the cloaca part is just hilarious. So Rosemary Moscow is going to be offering a class this year. I think last year she just gave a keynote. If you want to incorporate more writing and drawing of nature comics, this would be a great chance to take this class with her. Lots of people like her style. It's very simple. It communicates really, really well. And then let me just peek over here briefly at the chat. Okay, lots of people commenting useful information in the chat. So if I don't know the information, someone in the chat probably does. Next, this day is going to have a slightly different timing with the keynotes. So there's going to be an early keynote with Douglas Tallamy. So I looked him up and I couldn't find out that much information. He has a whole Wikipedia entry about him. So that means he's relatively famous, and he's a professor at the University of Delaware, and his research is a lot based in invasive plants and their impact on biodiversity. He speaks about this. I think he has several books as well, but he speaks a lot about this and gardening, and how gardening with native plants can help biodiversity. Interestingly enough, one of the top results when I Googled his name, sounds like there's some controversy around some of his ideas. So I actually saw several things come up right away that were pretty anti him, or kind of criticizing his ideas. But one thing is just to know that a lot of ideas about invasive plants are controversial, so that could be really interesting. And based on the title of his talk, which says homegrown national parks, I have a feeling it's not going to actually be about national parks, but it's going to be about how you in your own backyard can plant more native species and how that creates habitat for displaced biodiversity. That's my guess, but we won't know more until the full schedule comes out on the schedule website, and we start to get a little bit more information. Actually, on the keynotes, we might not know until the last minute. Then that night, we've got John Muir Laws. This is probably going to be the biggest speech or sort of event. I'm sure he's going to include a lot of like engaging theater type stuff, like he has in the past on that keynote. John Muir Laws is a great speaker, obviously, so that will be a really powerful one to be at. And the backstage pass that night will probably also be very moving on that second to last night. So hopefully you'll be able to sleep after all of that. And then the final day is going to be Sunday. starting off with Kate Rudder, who's amazing. I've interviewed her multiple times on the Nature Journal show. She's one of my Patreon members. She does a ton of sketchnoting, a ton of nature journaling, and she's going to be teaching a class on lettering. Here's her Instagram right here. There's an actress and like a florist with the same name as her. So if you just Google her, you might find those people come up more. But it seems like she got the name Kate Rudder on Instagram. So find her Instagram. She has some great stuff. Oh man, she did that avocado nature journaling thing like a year and a half ago. That was amazing. But look at how many different types of lettering she uses on here. So if you want to incorporate more different types of lettering into your nature journal pages, that class is going to be good. I think this is a weakness for a lot of people. And look at how legible her writing is in all of these little notes. And it's also very beautiful. And she has a good visual hierarchy with the lettering as well. She joins the Nature Journal show conversations a lot of times. I don't know if she's here today, but definitely don't miss that class with Kate. And that's going to be the first one in the morning. And then after that, this is interesting, Mastering Graphite with Mike Hindley. Haven't been too many classes with graphite at the nature journaling conferences. It seems like not that many people in the community. I know that Amy Tan was doing tons of bird drawings with graphite and building up layers of graphite, but a lot of people don't seem to be using it as like an in-depth drawing tool. But this guy, Mike Hindley, he's a fine artist. I think he's also based out of Canada. You can see that he really dives into it more deeply with the graphite. So if you want to, I think that's graphite. If you want to practice your graphite and sort of the depth that you can really build up with graphite, then check out this class with him. Look at that lizard. He did a class at the nature journaling. All of these ones have watercolor, but he did a class at the Nature Journaling Week this year. And I think it was also about graphite. So look at this one. Wow, that's really in depth. So if you want to practice graphite, look, you can even do subtractive techniques with an eraser on there. This class with Mike Hindley would be a good idea. I haven't done classes with him before, so I don't know that much about his teaching style, but I will definitely try to take his class, and hopefully I don't have to buy any like new supplies or anything like that. Then we've got Pencil Miles and Chill, don't miss it. And then a class with Isaiah Scott. I tried to get him on the Nature Journal show. He's pretty famous now and has 100,000 followers on his Instagram. He does tons of birding trips. He actually has been to some of the same places where I just was in the last year, but he did go to Machu Picchu. I definitely didn't go down there, or Peru, but he was in some of the same places in Costa Rica where I was recently. Does a lot of really cool work around birding and birding access and nature access. He's sponsored by like REI and this binoculars company, and he's sponsored by, I think he's sponsored by some other clothing company as well. But here you can see some of the birds he saw in Costa Rica. He does a lot of bird art as well, and you can find his link tree. He's a student in ornithology at Cornell University, a good place to study ornithology. And I think sometimes he posts his drawings as well, but you can also find his drawings through his link tree on his Instagram here. So pretty excited about that. Young birder, pretty popular and well known, and doing a lot of cool bird illustration stuff as well. Haven't been to any classes of his before, so it'll be really interesting to see what his teaching style is like. I'm sure he's going to bring a lot of energy to the class, even through Zoom. And then the very last class of the event, last but not least, one of my favorite teachers and one of my favorite nature journalers, Robin Lee Carlson, a celebration of scavengers and decomposers. I love the name. I love Robin's work. She has her Instagram is called Anthropocene Sketchbook. She has way fewer followers than she should. I love her style, and she does science illustration, but also lots of nature journaling. She really pays close attention to things. I love her style, so I'm not going to miss this class. I think it'll be really good. She's also rigorous on the science side as well as artsy enough on the art side. I mean, look at that. Is that a rose hip? Look at the way that the richness of color in that rose hip, and she probably drew that really quickly too. So Robin Lee Carlson has amazing artistic technique, but also, like I said, that observational rigor and scientific rigor. She has a recently published book, Nature Journaling in Burnt and Fireplaces. I think it's called the Cold Canyon Journal, the Cold Canyon Fire Journals. So definitely check out that class. And that's the last official class, last actual class of the event. So I'm definitely not going to miss that one. And then, wait, do we not have pencil miles in? Oh, I guess we already did. Yeah, already had pencil miles and chill. Okay, so then we have two more keynotes to end the event, and they're both going to be in person. So if you live in the Bay Area, you also have the chance to go to these last two events in person. Last year, they did it where they announced the Wild Wonder Foundation and stuff like that in person in Palo Alto. So if you're in the Bay Area, I think you have to pay extra to go to these. But the early keynote is going to be Tony Foster and John Rilaz in conversation. This will be cool. I mean, they're both amazing people and do amazing work. Sometimes the conversations can be a little bit weird. Like maybe it's more engaging if you're in person, but watching on the computer, maybe it's not super engaging. It depends. It's hard to know. Tony Foster's work is obviously incredible. He does these huge watercolor paintings. Like these things are just giant, and the museum has them, and you can go see them in real life. He paints in these crazy places, like on the edges of waterfalls and stuff. Let's see if we can find one of them. All these places in the Southwest. Like I think he did. It wasn't Mount Everest, but another huge. Look at this. This is like Victoria Falls or something. It's not letting me see the whole thing. But anyways, he does huge watercolor paintings. Amazing guy. The Foster Museum is one of the sponsors of the entire nature journaling conference. So don't miss those talks. At the very least, watch the recorded version or look up Tony Foster's work. And then the very last keynote is going to be Amy Tan herself and John Rilaz in conversation. So everybody by now probably knows that Amy Tan is a famous nature journaler. She learned about nature journaling from John Rilaz and got super into birding and nature journaling. She does some great sketches. I think she's publishing a book now with her published sketches. Obviously, she got famous from things other than nature journaling, but that conversation should be cool, and that will wrap it up. There's no backstage pass. So I think if you're in person, you're going to get if you're in person at these last two keynotes, you're going to get a lot more of the feeling of like closure. For the rest of us, it's probably going to be a little bit weird that night when the keynote is over. As long as everything works out, I'm going to be doing a live show at the end of every single day, giving a recap of the day. So if you don't feel closure after the keynote on Sunday, come to the Nature Journal Show recap, and maybe you can get that feeling of closure there. Okay, let me end this screen share. Sorry that the screen share was a little bit weird this time. Kate Rudder's Instagram is just Kate Rudder with no space or anything like that. All right, everybody, thanks for joining in. Sorry, the screen share was a little bit challenging. Just try and get the momentum going for Wild Wonder Conference. I'll be doing more videos about it soon, where I'll talk a little bit more about the pricing and stuff like that for people who want to, who are still on the fence about deciding. But basically, just to summarize, there's a whole bunch of different pricing options. From, I think, the scholarships. It's too late for scholarships, but you can pay. It's almost like a sliding scale. So there's a variety of pricing options. That's one thing. And then the other thing is materials. At some point before the conference, maybe as soon as the teachers publish their classes on the shed.com, website, I will try to do a review of all the materials you need and maybe ways to simplify it, like some tricks. So maybe you don't have to buy every single thing for every single class. Like maybe I'll give some ideas of how you could get away with using this. Like last year, I didn't have some of the supplies and I still took all of the classes. So I'll give you some tips. And that will be in a future episode. I don't think I'm going to be able to interview too many of the instructors before the conference. In the past, I have. I think 1 year I interviewed every single instructor before the conference, so you can get an idea about their energy and their teaching style and their class. It's really hard to organize with these people, especially these famous people are really hard to schedule with. So not going to be able to do it this time, but just wanted to give you a little tidbit and a little bit review from my perspective about all the classes. Oh, and Sandra makes a really good point. Last year I was eating sticks of butter with coffee beans stuck inside to keep me going through the classes. Make sure you have like regular chocolate and maybe prepare some food in advance. But I also don't want to really recommend taking all the classes. I'm just doing that because that's what worked for me. And because for the Nature Journal show, I want to be able to report about all these classes. New episodes coming next week. And episodes coming early for my Patreon members. Thanks to all my Patreons. I think a bunch of you are here right now. So that's really great. And start getting ready for Wild Wonder. Bye.